It's Sargina.
Thank you. We have a phenomenal panel. And so we're going to jump right into this. And so my first question, Ms. Patricia, is coming to you. And thinking of earlier, I was in a session and we were talking about how after school programs bring so much value to the field and to our young people. And speaking of value, and my question to you is, what aspect of after school programs do you appreciate and value the most?
Yeah, so for me, the part that I appreciate the most is the connections and relationships I get to develop with families. I believe that communication is a big part of our jobs, and whether there's good communication or no communication at home, I'm always vigilant on like staying in contact with parents, whether it's email, phone call, voicemail, or whatever else, you know. So and I think that's an important part of our job, to stay in communication with them, because it's a part of including the whole child, right? And that's the ultimate goal, because I think within all of our communities and programs, like we're a little community within our own programs, right? So for me, I guess what I'm trying to say is that building community and developing relationships is what I appreciate and value the most in after school.
Thank you, Ms. Patricia, and that's a perfect segue into our next question, which will be for Ms. Beth and Ms. Janet. But my question is, right, you're talking about, Ms. Patricia just said about valuing the relationships and community. My question is, what strategies have you both used to continue to keep students engaged during after school programs? So Ms. Beth, go ahead and start us off. What strategies have you used?
I'll start with talking about what strategies we've used to keep connected to kids. And what we've found especially with distant learning is that you have to be face-to-face with them. You know, we started out posting content and doing live meetings with the kids. And we found that, you know, just connecting with them, even if it's through a screen, that you got to be with them. And so that was one of the strategies that we used, is that we started really focusing our program on how to meet with them face to face. And then the second part of it was making the connections with the school staff, especially with the teachers, you know, like knowing what the teachers are doing with the kids. And some of the kids we've never even met before, you know, if they're coming in as new students, we've only seen them on a screen. So getting to know them through the shared connections that with the teachers. And then the other thing, going to the parents, is that, you know, the parents have to have direct contact. You have to be able to actually like contact them directly, not just through like an email blast or whatever, but actually like taking that time to really make those phone calls, make those connections, you know, follow-ups on those. And then last is that we've also had to give the kids an opportunity to get off of the screen. They may still be on the screen, but if we're reading with them, you know, they need to have a book in hand or like a materials. So providing them with the materials, providing them with books has been really key to us keeping a connection. And you know, I've never felt so connected to the students. Maybe there's less of them now, but I've never felt such a connection as this year.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you. Ms. Janet, same question for you. What strategies have you used?
Yeah, thank you, Nate. So a few strategies that we have used to keep the students engaged in the virtual after school program, and also so they could stay throughout the whole time in the program, is just we do a Monday Student Voice Leadership Club, where the students are allowed to just brainstorm any activities they want to continue to see or any new activities they want to see in the program. And we allow them to brainstorm through virtual whiteboards. Then we as a team collectively, we support into making those activities realistic and appropriate for everyone to engage in. On Fridays, which is the student takeover day, and students really enjoy that because, you know, they're being heard, they're being validated, and they get used to seeing, they like to see their ideas in action. And that's the beauty of it all, right? What we also do, we then also make sure to survey the students through Zoom polls or Google Forms. And on a weekly basis, as staff, we get a chance to join into one of the 3 committees we have in our after-school program that specifically focuses on social emotional learning, the nutrition enrichment, physical activities committees, so that we could develop focused activities that have the student interest for them to grow and engage in more.
Thank you, Jen. So much, Beth, Janet, so much positivity, so many great strategies. So everyone who is watching right now, right? This is not just for we're just sitting here just looking into space. And no, we want you to actually take some notes right now. These strategies, right, and the resources that they're going to share is for you to be able to take back to your program and implement. And so they make sure that you, as somebody told me, the note takers are the life changers. Note takers are the life changers. And so thank you, Janet and Beth, for all those positive strategies that you shared. Speaking of positivity, Jenny, my question, you have my next question. My question comes to you is, what has been the most positive experience in after school programs for you?
I think it's both. It's affected me both professionally and personally. Professionally, I started off as a team lead. So the positive impact that it had on me, I was a team lead and I was like, how do I stay within this career, and be able to maintain a lifestyle that, I can do, and then also take care of, myself and take care of others. So as I became a team lead, I became a site coordinator. And as I became a site coordinator, it impacted me in a positive way towards like, how can I teach others that are in the same field that we can make a way, we can make a change, and this can be a career move for somebody. So then I became a director. So it definitely influenced me to create opportunity for others. And that's something that I'm glad that I'm in the company that I'm in now, because it allows me to create those opportunities for others and, let others grow in that same way. As far as personally, it definitely saved my life because I started this when I was 19, and I'm now 31. And just being in expanded learning that whole entire time has taught me, when I was 19, I was either going to go down a wrong pathway, and that's the same pathway that our kids, aren't hopeful for. So I'm like, if I can do it, I can show my kids that this is also doable, and they don't have to be a product of their environment, but just teach them that they can use those experiences to grow and become resilient. So, it didn't just create a positive, note for me, but it also, the kids, I think, helped me more than anything with the growing experiences and stuff like that. So it definitely impacted me professionally and personally.
I love it. I love it. Power in your perspective. And so thank you, Jenny. And I heard something, you said something about how after school programs created an opportunity for you, right? It was an access to after school programs to provide an opportunity for you. And so my next question, and I want to, and this is going to be to Janet and Patricia, thinking about access. What ways do you think after school program can use equity and access to support all students, right? So what ways do you think after school can use equity and access to support all students? And Jenny, you want to start us off?
Yeah, definitely. One way that I see after school using equity and access to support students is through the trainings. Right now that we're virtual, we're able to, at least in our after school program, we're able to have join into different trainings through the program for professional development and trainings that cater to students' needs. So we continue to learn more about physical activities or SEL, or how to even just work the Google Suites to present the lessons for them. With this professional development for staff, though, they're able to feel more confident in presenting quality activities for students that allows the program to be student focused. And with that, it does build a trusting relationship among the staff and the students.
Thank you, Janet. Patricia, how about you?
So for me, my mind straight goes to something that's been created by some coordinators in my district. So I take no credit for it, but this is where my mind is going right now. So some coordinators in my district, they got together and they created a coordinator newsletter where resources are shared as far as like what's working, what's not working, what sites are up to, smart buys and motivational pep talks from leaders in our region. So, you know, this was something that it didn't exist pre-pandemic, but now we have something that provides us coordinators with legit materials to give students more access to different resources, you know. So overall, I see all of us who are involved in after school becoming more creative than ever, to give more to our students, you know. So I'm giving a big shout out to our coordinators in Central who created that newsletter for us. A big thank you to you.
Hey. Also, Patricia, I did want to highlight something that you had shared something about. You actually had opportunity to provide more access for the students during the break. Can you kind of speak about that?
During their break, is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah. So during winter break this year, we provided a winter program, and that's another thing that didn't exist pre-pandemic. You know, I was a part of 2 winter programs. I did one for my site, and so something that hit my site really hard, maybe like 2 weeks before the holiday, was, you know, a student took her life, and she was only a 7th grader. So like the pandemic's really affecting kids in so many ways, and it's pushed us to change things up in terms of providing more programs and resources for kids. You know, we provide a safe space for them. So I was thankful we were able to do that.
Thank you, Patricia. I think just thinking about, and again, condolences to that family. If you think about our programs, right, the space that you all are creating on a daily basis, it helps combat and support some of maybe depression or anxiety, right, or isolation and loneliness. And so I just really wanted to highlight that piece because I thought that this coordinator took it upon herself to make sure that she was present and available for her students during the winter break, when we know that sometimes our winter breaks, right, our vacations can be some of the most lonely times for our young people. And so just really wanted to highlight that again. As we are thinking about we're having this conversation, we're taking notes and thinking about, you know, what can I bring back to my site and to my community. And so again, thank you for that, Patricia. And then kind of speaking about that, because we have our winter breaks and typically our programs have shut down. And so Beth, I want to ask you this question. What has been your experience like in transitioning to in-person learning, from going from being virtual and then going to in-person? How has that transition been for you?
Well, it's been for us, like everybody, it's been quite the roller coaster. We went from, you know, just like immediate shutdown mode, and then it was like, oh, you know, now what? And so we quickly, the team all got together, we rallied, and then we developed a distance learning program. We had to learn everything from scratch, you know, Google Classrooms and you know, how to operate, and then of course, you know, we had to make contact with all the families and you know, invite them back in and get them to buy into continuing on the program that was no longer on campus. And so so then this year we transitioned, we are transitioning slowly back into in-person, and we started at the beginning of the year with what we were calling internet rooms, thinking that kids were going to need access to internet. We've changed that way of thinking and to call them access rooms, because what we found was the most important in these was, number one, to have COVID protocols, which really didn't exist, you know. So we started right off the bat developing policies and procedures and training staff and policies and procedures to follow once we got back in with the kiddos. And then right after that, you know, the next thing was that we found was that access was what was the most important. The kids needed access to their teachers, yes, but the teachers needed access to the students, especially those marginalized students. And that was where we leaned in and we said, these are access rooms. We're going to get the kids here on campus for intervention, for tutoring, for just that need to be with other kids. There are kids that just need to be with other people, and for whatever reason, they're not getting the support that they need, and they need us to just be there for them. So that was the most important thing.
Thank you, Beth. And I hear like the going from in person to virtual, right, and then planning to go back into person. So again, as we all see right there, you said I had to create policies and procedures, right, the safety protocols to make sure that our young people are safe, our staff are safe, right. And so this is amazing. And so we all get to see, as I was in another session earlier, someone said, you know, I built my program from the ground up. I didn't have no white paper, like I didn't have nobody to support. I didn't know where to start. And so right here, I'm hearing some cues, right? I can think about now maybe I need some procedures, I need some protocols, right? To make sure that our students are safe. So again, Beth, thank you for that. And so I know that can be a challenge. And I want to come to Tracy for a moment. Thinking of challenges, I want to just ask you, my question to you is, what has been your greatest challenge during the pandemic?
I think the greatest challenge for me personally, and I think for a lot of us, we all know there have been challenges within our programs, with our families and our students. But I think the greatest challenge that I have faced is maintaining a schedule and being accountable. And I think the reason why is because we are so accustomed to doing something the same way. We had a schedule, we went onto our sites, we did what we did every day. And then now working from home, where we are not only working from home, but many of us are also schooling our own children. We are also maintaining a lot of different things simultaneously. And I think that really making sure that we have established a schedule and maintaining that schedule for us has been important. I also think one of the big things with that is finding a support system. That can't always be your family. Of course, your family is that, but finding a like-minded person who does the same job as you. And this is why I think this virtual symposium is awesome, because it gives us the opportunity to connect with people who are actually doing the job that we do every day, that are facing the same issues that we are facing every day, and that can really not only assist us, but give us new resources and ideas, and so many of the things that we all, I think, have felt alone in doing during this pandemic. And really, we forget that there's this whole system out there that is doing the exact same thing. And I just really feel like, you know, what we bring to our students, if we're not giving them our best, they're not getting the best. And so making sure that we have maintained that schedule so that we are providing great programs to them, and that we are providing a accountable person who's being accountable not only to them but to our staffs, so that we're providing for them the best that we can possibly give them. And for me, like I said, that's been my biggest challenge, and I'm really grateful that I have my system of support within the site coordinator network, so that I've been able to reach out for assistance and help and ideas, and I'm very grateful for that.
Thank you, Tracy. Is there any other specific things that you did to support to combat that those challenges? So outside of the support, is there anything you would like to share with everyone that has helped you deal with some of those struggles and challenges?
I think one of the main things, like I said, well, Nate, who's speaking now, is one of my people that I kind of go to for ideas and just to talk things out. We have very like-minded in a lot of the things we do. So I have a close-knit system and a few good site coordinators, directors that I go to just to talk things out. I have to say that not only with that, but one of the things that I have done is with my staff. You know, our staff is very valuable to us. We all know that. We couldn't do our jobs without them. And just making sure that my staff also feels supported, being a voice for them, not just in, oh, how are you doing in work-wise? How are you doing with life right now? How are your kids doing? How are your family maintaining through this? And just doing those things to make sure that we all are in this system of support together, because they are the most valuable resource that I have. And like I said, if we are not doing our best for the kids, parents entrust to us their most valuable resources, whether it's virtually or in person. We have the most valuable resource that parents will ever have. And if we are not doing our absolute best for them, we are not doing enough.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Tracy and Hart. I appreciate you as well. That was not planned, ladies and gentlemen. I just want you to know. And it's amazing. Like that's what we are, our biggest support. And I think it was Grover who said that earlier. Like you're never alone in this field. In this field, you're never alone, and that says so much. And so, yeah, it's so inspirational. And so I want to come to you, Jenny. I'm coming back to you. And my question to you, right, is what is the most inspirational thing that you've seen during these last almost a year now? So what has been the most inspirational thing that you've seen?
I think it's just the collaboration and just the humanity that has been going on between the organization, the staff, and the students. Being able to see how strong the student's voice is at this point in time, and the fact that they're so comfortable in using it. And also, it's just like they're telling us what they need. And then we create programs based upon like what it is that they need, and then they're more engaged. And I saw in the chat that someone had posted that this is the time where the kids are showing up because they want to. So, we would be, like Tracy said, at this, a disservice to them if we're not giving them what they want and they're using the voice, which we so much, vouch for, that we want to hear for. So I think that has been one of the most inspirational things, on just to see the kids work together with our staff. And, what I tell the kids is we work for you guys. You guys let us know what we need. And the same thing for my staff. I tell them the same thing. What do you guys need from me? You guys don't work for me, I work for you. So let me know what you need so we can better support you. And just seeing that, having not being able to be physically with our kids has been really difficult for our staff. And for myself, because, Nate, me and you were not like in the classroom all the time, but I know that when I go to the classroom or when I go do a site visit, it can turn my day from a negative to a positive, just like that, right? As soon as you step on the campus. So what we have, what we're doing is creating opportunity for the kids during that time on, we might see them once a month or something like that, but just those things right there, like, are so inspiring to see their smiles on their face. And, I'm like, I can't wait to go back, because kicking a soccer ball to a student has been something that we've taken for granted, right? And it's just to see the joy on their face. So definitely just the collaboration and being able to hear our students speak up and our staff speak up, and being able to help each other, mentally during this whole pandemic time.
Thank you, Jenny. I think that you hit the nail right on the head when you talked about the collaboration piece. Even for providers, right? Us coming together, working together to figure out how we can serve our young people. It has been a beautiful thing. Patricia, same question to you. What has been the most inspirational thing that you've seen during the pandemic?
So for me, it's not a thing. It's the actual students themselves. They're showing up. So, when the pandemic hit, I didn't even know if we were still going to have a job, or, if we were even going to be needed. But yeah, I think, right now we're needed even more than ever. And I didn't know if kids would show up for virtual learning. But man, like, they're consistent. We have a steady stream of kids. And like you said, it's going to be a year, and they're our little ride or dies, they're like our little diehards. So I'm so grateful for them. It pushes me to continue to improve our program and look for things that attract their attention. Me and one of my staff members, like, on the weekend, it could be late at night or whatever, we see something and we text it to each other. So we're like, work's constantly on our mind. So for me, it's the kids showing up.
Thank you, Patricia. And this, like you just said, you mentioned looking for things to do, right, for the young people. Like, how can we keep them engaged, right? So I want to ask you this question, Janet. I'm coming to you. How has the pandemic, or how has distance learning? We're not even gonna focus on the pandemic. How has distant learning increased your creativity?
Thank you, Nate. Yeah, like Patricia said, right, work is always on our minds, and I feel that because it's such a fun working with students and being very creative, I allow it, and I love to just continue to think so many different ways and outside of the box for the students. But this distance learning has increased my creativity through, first, technology. I learned a lot of and practice different Google suites, not just, Google Docs or Excel, but to discover the Google PowerPoints or the Jamboard and doing all these fun activities and designing it so fun. I learned how to input GIFs or GIFs inside, and the students love it. And I think that is a very fun one. Another example is even with physical activities, how to put that at home. And once again, thinking outside the box and creating your own equipment. Oh, get 2 pairs of socks. Very common, small things, right? You roll that up, you got a little ball. We could play bowling with that. We could practice how to catch and do different things and be creative with the students. And then even with myself, when this all began, the whole distance learning, I didn't have a desk at home. I didn't have all that ready. So needing to be creative with that, I know it increased a lot. At the beginning of the pandemic, I was just sitting on my couch because I didn't have a table or a chair. So I got a cooler and I stacked books under to levitate my laptop, and I ran with that, right? Now you continue to be more creative. I have a nice cup where I could put my pens inside, and I make my own DIY office desk. And it's been very fun. And I think that that's the great joy of working in after school, is to continue to increase that.
Thank you, Jenna. I'm yes, you are not the only one, right? TV dinner trays turned into desks. You are that's what I'm talking about, right? And that's again goes to I attribute a lot of that to the field, because the first thing that I thought about was how do we become like we have to be proactive, right? So how right now I may not have a desk at home, but what can I use around here? This is what we do in expanded learning. So thank you for that, Janet. My next question, right? And thinking about as Patricia said and Janet said, we're constantly thinking about after school programs, being more creative. That can take a toll. It can take a toll on us mentally and emotionally. So my question, and I'm gonna come back to you, Tracy, my question to you is how have you maintained your mental health during the pandemic? How have you maintained your mental health during the pandemic?
So this pandemic has been very difficult personally. We have experienced a lot of loss as a family, and really having to balance the personal with work and to still make sure you're the best has been a learning process. I myself, I'm a journaler. I love to journal, to be able to write on paper my thoughts, my anger, my hurt, my joy, my victories, everything that I'm feeling on paper with absolutely no judgment. What I put on that piece of paper is for me. No one reads it, no one sees it, and I can let everything that I feel out and it just be there. And that is very therapeutic for me. It has always been, I've done that for a very long time, just because I want to be in a good place, in sound mind and sound spirit for these kids. And so making sure that I'm that within myself is important. The other thing that I do is I pray, some meditate. For me, that's as important, because I never ever want to forget why I do this. My whole purpose for doing this is to impact the lives of these students for the long term. Not for today, not for just tomorrow, but for the long term, so that they can always come back and know that we gave them their best and we told them they could be their best. Kids should never feel limited by the streets of the city they live in or their circumstances. They should know that they are amazing in their own right and nothing can limit them. And that's important for us to be able to portray to them. I really believe that we can never lose sight of that. When we provide quality programs, they show up. And I just have to say, because I've said this to a lot of people, but Rainey just reminded me a few minutes ago, when we have good programs, when we're of sound mind, when we're of sound spirit, when we're doing the best for our staff and ourselves, and we're giving that to the kids, kids vote with their feet. If they like your program, they'll show up. If they don't like your program, they're not going to show up. That's how you know you're having quality program. They vote with their feet. They're going to be there. And so just being able to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. We do a lot every day to make sure our students are taken care of, to make sure our staff is taken care of. And oftentimes we overlook ourselves, and we can't. We are the leaders. We are the ones that people are looking to, and we have to be doing that, but leading by example, leading from the front. If you need to take a day because you need a mental health day, take that day and afford the same thing to your staff. And so just making sure that you're taking care of you, however that is, journal, praying, support systems, meditation, getting together and just taking a minute to enjoy life is equally as important. And so make sure that you do that, because we want to give ourselves away, but you have to do that in a way that you can't be a candle. When you light a candle will exhaust. It's going to burn out. You have to be a kerosene lamp. When you get low, you have to be able to fill yourself back up. And only a kerosene lamp can do that. A candle cannot. So that's how I kind of maintain my mental health during this pandemic.
Got it, got it. Two snaps going on. I see the chat is on fire right now, talking about, I definitely will start journaling. Even for me, that is something that I practice. So thank you for sharing that best practice with us so that we can implement it into our daily lives. And thinking about, as I heard you talking, you were talking a lot about the future and making sure that you're good. And I want everyone to know, right? Self-care is not selfish. Self-care is not selfish. So don't ever think like, oh, I don't, what about, I have my kid. Like, in order for you to be your best self, in order for you to have the best program and the best relationships, you have to be well. You have to be well. So we want to make sure that you all are taking care of yourself. So again, thank you for that, Tracy. And as we're coming almost to the end, I have one more question. And the question is, as Tracy was talking about the future and looking ahead, I want to ask the question, right? What strategies have you used to continue to support students, families during this time? What strategies will you use continue to support families during this time? So Jenny, if you want to start us off with what strategies you will use to continue to support families during this time, and so that way the people in the audience can start to write those awesome notes.
So when we first started this, I never imagined that we would have students, in kindergarten and first grade telling us that they were depressed, or our parents telling us, jumping on the camera and saying, you guys make their day because they are depressed. And that right there just made us move in a whole different angle and a whole different light. So saying that, then we created resources for our parents for mental health, but not just that, because, the kids were showing up, we had to give them what they wanted. And there was a lot of, mental health activities, a lot of self-care activities. So before we even started, we had our staff do these self-care activities a week or two before we even had the kids, so they can get in tune with themselves and, give the kids what they need. Because we all know, if we love to do something and we have a hobby and we show the kids, it's going to be a lot more, it's going to be delivered a different way than someone who's forced to do something. So our kids definitely took that on a lot differently. So that's one of the strategies that we did. So whether it was art, music, sports, whatever it is that they wanted to do for that day, we took a little bit of time to check in, right? And not just so much of asking questions, because you can ask a kid, how are you doing? But if you're physically seeing a kid on camera and move a little different, because that's not something that we can see, it's a little bit more, observant of like, okay, there's something going on because I know this child, and this child is maybe not having a good day today. So that's something that we did. Another thing that we did for the kids, but it was more so for ourselves in a disguise type of way, was we did, we're seeing our kids, whether it's once a month or once every other month, we're letting them know, hey, we're going to pass out these items to you guys. So then you guys can have these items to use for the next month or so. And we'll do little projects with you guys. And then we get to see them. And that's why I said earlier, like, it's been eye-opening to be able to see our kids for 5 minutes roll up in the car and just be thankful that we get to see a smile on their face. So, we took those little things for granted, but now it's like seeing a parent roll up and just emailing you or calling you and telling you like, we appreciate that. That's everything to us. So that's another strategy. We do have, we call them drive-ins, not drive-bys, to where, the kids drive and, they can get out the car if they want to. For Christmas, we had our CEO dress up like the Grinch. And we were taking, distant pictures with the kids 6 feet apart and making it fun for them. So they got to roll in and get out the car and take a picture with the Grinch. So just, modifying. We are expanded learning, but I think now we have to do expanded thinking. So that's something that we've switched gears to where we tell our kids, like, this is a good way. And we use it here in the staff to where we joke around about it, but we're serious about it. So it's like, that's a good way of expanded thinking. Like you're expanding your thinking, right? That's something that we definitely had to do this year.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Jenny. Beth, same question to you. What strategies will you use to continue to support your families and communities?
So we in expanded learning, have always been aware of the barriers to equity, and we understand that. I mean, we've been fighting against those barriers of equity in our programs, and we were aware of it. And then schools closed down, and it was magnified. Like the inequities that existed just became so big, so real. And I think at first everybody was just, like, wow. And then, like expanded learning does, we said, okay, well, what are we going to do about this? We started really talking about the inequities and how we address those. And so, one of the things that I had said earlier is that, you need to make contact with the families. You have to make that personal contact with the families. But one of the things that I found when I'm talking to the families, you want to make a phone call and you want to say, hey, this is what's happening. And you got a lot of families to contact. This is what's happening. This is what we're going to be doing. Thanks for your time. Bye. And then what we found is that isn't what the families need right now. What they need is for you to hold space for them. What they need is to share with you what is happening in their world, how this is affecting them, how what they're needing in order to help their child succeed. They don't need somebody just giving them more information that doesn't necessarily fit their needs. And so I would say, one of the ways to really support families, hold that space for them. Let them talk to you about what is happening in their lives.
Thank you, Beth. And as we're coming to a close, I just want to thank you all. I want to thank you all for your work that you do, and you continue each and every one of you panelists make an impact daily with your young people and with your staff. And so I thank you for sharing your insight, your wisdom, your brilliance, right? Your expanded thinking, Jenny, as Jenny said. And so I seen that hashtag that was trending in the chat for a moment. So we want to make sure that we continue to expand our thinking during this time. And so again, I just want to thank you all for tuning in to this panel discussion. And so right now in the chat, what I need you to do, and as Jenny shared, right, that during this time we're each other's biggest support system, as Tracy echoed that as well. We're supposed to support one another, right? And I want to just thank you, Student Fathers and Families, my team, for putting that work. Y'all constantly encouraging me and inspiring me through the work that y'all do. And so right now in the chat, go ahead and hashtag Woman Power, right? For our first all woman panel, let's go to hashtag Woman Power and say thank you to our awesome and amazing and phenomenal women who were on this panel today, because they did an awesome and great job. And so I just again want to thank you. And I'm going to pass it to Miss Brazil. I'm gonna pass it to Miss Brazil.
All right. Well, again, thank you, ladies. Hashtag Women Power. We are really proud of the work that you are doing and thankful that you were able to share it with so many. So what we're going to move on to now, we're almost upon our break. There'll be a 15-minute break before we go into our next session, but we're going to start with our raffle. So it is raffle time, and in this raffle time, you again must be in it to win it, and you will be able to catch the vibe from I Am Impact with this wonderful book, an ebook, 7 steps to impact. So we're going to spin the wheel and see who our next winner is. The suspense is killing me. All right, Marissa Rosales. Congratulations. You will be able to catch the vibe and create some impact. So congratulations. And now what I would again like to remind everyone that this is another opportunity to join the network, as well as to provide, well, first we want you to join the network so that you can continue to collaborate and use this resource. But we also would like you to fill out the survey so that we can then also increase our resources and really find out what benefits the group of us. So make sure you do that. And then what we are going to do is move on into our break. And hold on, I'm sorry, my screen's up.
I'll conclude. I'll bring some music in.
Thanks so much.
Move this out. Wishing everybody a happy session 2.
Enjoy session 2, and remember, after session 2 is game night or networking and game night.